What's going on, YouTube? It's okmall. We're back again with another Stoneshard build guide. This time around, we're going to be tackling Mahir's dual-wielding flail build that I did recently during one of my live streams. Now, this build held up quite well considering we are utilizing two flails, which, if you guys have noticed, flails have a decrease in accuracy and a decrease in, or increase, I should say, in fumble chance. So you pair that up with two of them, and you're not going to have a whole lot of accuracy unless you build for accuracy and lower fumble chance. For instance, I currently am sitting with 99 and 94 respectively for the two flails that we currently have, and that's not too shabby with the -8 accuracy that we already have. As far as fumble chance, now granted some of this is coming from vigor, and we'll talk about that later. Fumble chance has got 0 and 8.5, still not terrible, especially when you tackle that and pair it up with offensive tactics. Goes down to 0 and 124 and 119, so accuracy is not a problem. Fumble, not going to be a problem for you. Now, if you are interested in following this build, do select Mahir, as the skills that we unlocked are essentially unlocked because we are playing Mahir. We have to get like 6 points into each skill tree to unlock an additional skill point to spend somewhere else. So every 6 points invested into a certain tree is essentially 7, or one extra skill point. So you get like 7 per tree invested, so long as you have 6 in it. So for instance, warfare 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gives us an extra skill point to spend somewhere else, and so forth and so on. Hence why we have 6 here and 6 here and 6, well, technically 7 there. Would have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 there. Yeah, so just to get those extra skill points. As for these stats, it's pretty straightforward. Being that we're dual wielding and we have points into dual wielding, that means that Berserk Tradition does help you the more HP that you have, so that way it's easier to maintain Berserk Tradition without being on the cusp of dying. Having said that, for the stats I went for Perception. My recommendation for what stats to get first: Perception, get it up to 20 right away. You might be thinking, well, what the heck, I do need to reduce my fumble chance, so I need Agility. Yes, you do. But what I was finding out early on in the game is that Perception makes more sense to us. I would rather hit the enemy and fumble for half of my damage than miss altogether, right? So I would prefer actually being able to hit them versus just fumbling on occasion. So get your Perception up to 20. You can reduce your fumble chance with gloves. You can reduce it with belts, right? If you get some rings that have negative fumble, you can do it that way too. So long as your fumbles are right around 10 to 15%, you're going to be okay. The rest of it just comes down to getting your accuracy increased. Now, after that, like I said, get your agility up to 20. We have to increase our dodge, have to decrease our fumble chance. And then lastly, just fill it all in with vitality. Get it all up to level 20. Once we get our vitality to 20, we're going to have, right now I'm sitting at 130 HP. We'll be able to get that all the way up to 145% HP, which again makes that Berserker Tradition a lot easier to maintain. Now, as for gear, this is what we have on currently. You could use the Fencer Doublet if you so choose to do so. We just happen to find the Royal Ranger Gambits in, so we slapped this on. For gloves, I'm going to go for the Tide gloves. They give you decrease in fumble and increase in crit efficiency. As you can tell, we have 31 crit with this buff on, and then when we and 71 and 67 crit efficiency with the buff. And let's just let this run away, and we actually have a base of 21 and 18. That's pretty decent, honestly. And again, that crit efficiency 71, 67. Belts is kind of the same idea. We're trying to decrease fumble and increase that crit efficiency. We also gain a little bit of accuracy, a little bit of counter chance. Not bad. For the boots, just going to go for the Mage Hunters. It gives us additional counter chance on top of 10% dodge. So again, because we are light armor, we are trying to also maintain a decent amount of dodge chance. Currently sitting at a base of 52%. gets obviously much higher when you stack on elusiveness, and being that we built into perception, elusiveness stacks at 12 dodge chance per. So you slap that on, that's 112% dodge. Easier to dodge than it is anything else. As far as the helms, I wish we had something else on offer, but crit chance, crit efficiency, and extra dodge. It's kind of hard to pass this one up. Just got to do what we got to do. This is the one to take. Now the rings, I ended up going, I think I had 3 of these, or I had 2, and then the last ring, I don't know if I still happen to have it, would have been the emerald ring. It would have gave us more health. It would have gave us negative fumble. Again, I don't know if I even have it anymore. I might have just sold it away. And from the looks of it, that is exactly what I did. What you do there is up to you. You could get all the ruby rings. You could get, some emerald rings in there just to get you some more HP. It's up to you guys. Backpack, who cares? I think what I also did, yeah. We had this cape here, crit chance, counter chance, skill energy cost reduction, a little bit of bleed. Yeah, pretty decent. Now, let's kind of cover the combat so you guys have an idea what the stat sheet looks like as a whole. Now, Vigor is a really integral part of this whole build, so you're going to want to have this on more often than not because it does add that negative fumble, gives you more energy, and what I would suggest is if you guys wanted to take away these points and then instead put them over in resourcefulness or hunt master, it's up to you and how you do this, but you can increase or decrease your fumble chance even further, increasing your crit chance as well. But having said that, you don't really need to. Offensive tactics kind of takes care of that for you. But main hand damage is 30, 20, 110 weapon damage overall. Specifically speaking, because of peak performance, we have 143 energy. It's easy enough to keep peak performance fully active at all times. Hand efficiency 85 55. Body part damage is 22 and 14. No armor damage, which is weird when you think about it because it's they're maces essentially. Armor penetration is 27 and 23. Accuracy, we already talked about it, 99 and 94. Crit chance, crit efficiency, 24 base counter. Fumble is only 8.5 on the offhand. Skill energy cost is about 45 and then another additional 98. So 98.5, it puts you at about 143, 142. Overall energy cost. Cooldowns are down to 89.5. Vision is 13, bonus range 2. We have bleed chance here, we have daze chance, and we have stagger chance, fairly high. We do have energy drain on our main hand weapon. Let's see, pull that up here real quick. So this one's got energy drain, and we got shock damage on the offhand. Our health is at 130 with restoration at 29% and 110 efficiency. Energy resto at 48, average protection of 8 with no block chance, 52 base dodge. Fortitude 10, 15 control res, bleed 28, 30 move. Pain resistance of 20, 40 fatigue resistance. We would have had it a little bit higher had we done walked around and found more places for Mahir's lifelong journey passive, but too lazy for that. I can show you. There's a lot of question marks around here that I have yet to discover. Too much. Damage resistances, we got 100%. We have a decent amount of nature at 37 and a decent amount of physical at 22. A little bit of rending apparently, and psionic resistances. Let's briefly cover the abilities, starting off with maces. Now for the mace tree, this is kind of where I think we need to talk a little bit. The mace tree is okay. I really didn't use hammer and anvil much at all. It was more like, hey, I needed to use a skill right now. This one's the only one available, and I'll use it. It just didn't have as much use as I thought it might have. In hindsight, what I would recommend doing is going for the top row, getting Respite. Respite's great for that energy restoration. And then getting Knockout. Knockout would be great. Deliver a strike to the target's head with 15% additional weapon damage, with 85 stagger, 7.5 crits. Also grants the strike additional 20% weapon damage for each turn of daze affecting the target, and 100% weapon damage for each turn of stun. 100% additional weapon damage. Think about that for a second. It's a lot. So that one would be a lot better, especially if they're a stunned target. They're probably going to be wiped out by that one hit. If the strike does do damage, puts the target's abilities on cooldown and prolongs its daze by 4 turns and stun by 1. So I never read this bottom part. From reading it, it sounds like it's going to be very similar to sudden lunge. Put the target's cooldowns on, or abilities on a cooldown. This is for 2. I'm guessing that puts it on a cooldown for 1 round. Not bad. Moving on. Obviously the dual wielding tree. This is everything I got. You can dive in deeper into this skill tree if you would like, but again, we're Mahir. The point was to get 6 points unlocked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The 7th one is something that I was like, hey, after you get all your 6 skill points unlocked elsewhere, you can start diving in here and putting points, like the extra skill points, somewhere else. Warfare, pretty straightforward. We got War Cry all the way down to Tactical Advantage. Been loving this skill. It's really, really strong. Well, it's a passive, I guess, but this skill here does a really, really good job decreasing energy cost and cooldowns for any of your maneuver skills. Great stuff. Athletics, again, I love peak performance. 143 energy. This is easy enough to keep active all the time. Never really had much of an issue when it wasn't active. Armored combat, didn't really go diving into armored combat, didn't need to. Survival, straightforward stuff. We have the Pathfinder skill. We have Ever Vigilance. Adaptability keeps our health high. This one keeps our sanity high. This one heals us. That's essentially it. We'll talk about what to unlock and at what levels next, and then kind of give you guys some insight as to what to do. All right, here we have an overview of all the stats. I went through and reorganized some of the stats, kind of like prioritize some over others that I think might work a little bit better for the build. There are a few things that as I was going through, kind of picking these out, we have a little bit of wiggle room on how we want to do this. I would at least say for the first, I would say 13 to 15 or so levels, there's a pretty solid way to take this. And this is going to be a little confusing for those of you who are kind of curious why there's multiple level 10s in here. I will explain it, but before we dive into it fully, quick disclaimer. When I did this originally, I did start off with the mace tree and very little into dual wielding except for like one skill here or there. I was mainly trying to unlock the maces right off the bat to get that 7th point for free and then move on to the other skill trees. We're switching it up a little bit. I don't think there's as much to be had in the mace skill tree, so what we're going to do instead is dive into the dual wielding tree right off the bat. Now Mahir does start off with dual wielding, which is great. He does not, however, start off with warfare. That's why these are they're a little bit higher. We're typically going to have access to Manshire by about level 5. This is going to turn out perfectly for this particular build. By the time we get to Manshire, we can purchase a book for warfare. He does, however, start off with athletics. We're not going to dive into athletics until later. So let me explain how and why I got the build and the points laid out the way they are. So right off the bat, let's get the dual wielding unlocked. Getting this one here is going to be amazing damage-wise right off the bat. And obviously this is dual wield training. Allows both hands to hit, which was what we want. So these 2 skills. The first level up, we're going to get deflect. That's going to help us get a little bit of defense right off the bat to block some of the enemies whom we're fighting's stronger attacks. Great stuff. Level 3, just go ahead and get dying fever, I think that's called. You know, if we do take a little bit of damage or under a certain degree of HP, we deal more damage. By that point, since we are putting points into perception, at level 4, this is going to get unlocked. And now you might be thinking, well, shoot, I can't. You know, Mahir gets an extra skill point by focusing on one tree over another. And I get that. There's not a whole lot we can do since a lot of these skills don't unlock naturally by the time we hit certain levels. So instead of just holding on to the skills altogether, let's deal more damage to the enemies and know their exact positioning. So this is the skill we want, Pathfinder. By that time, level 5, we should be located in Manshire. Usually most of my runs, I find myself in Manshire by level 5. You guys should find yourself in Manshire at level 5, same as me. So we're going to go ahead and grab up War Cry. That's going to help us daze or confuse enemies and deal more damage to them. Then level 6, if we use this one, so stances, maneuvers, I think it is, or waiting in place, you get an additional accuracy and whatever the heck else it gives you. This one here is going to help with counters and crits, giving us back energy. It's good stuff. Level 8, there's really no other way to go, so we have to go over here because these will not unlock, I don't think, by the time we get there. So we're going to go over to level 8. We're going to grab this skill up here. And then we're going to skip level 9 altogether, and then we're going to dive back into dual wielding. That's why there's 3 level 10s here. So we're skipping level 9. Hold the skill point. From what I can gather, we're not going to have these unlocked naturally. So skip level 9. By level 10, you put a point into Enough for Everyone and Berserk Tradition. Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 skill points now unlocked, that means we get to have an additional skill point. So at level 10, it's essentially 3 skill points altogether. Level 11, Defensive Tactics. Level 12, we may as well grab up Dash. Level 13, this one always typically unlocks by level 13 if you're putting points into the correct skills. So we're going to get Tactical Advantage. Guess what? That's another 6 skill points. Warfare is now complete. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Since we have 13, you can now move on. Now, where you put the second 13th skill point is up to you guys. I got it over here in Maces. Whether you do maces or you do athletics, it's kind of up to you. But I figure maces have got a little bit more value. And how you do this is up to you. But I think you want to go down here as quickly as you can to get knockout. But let's continue on. So 13 has 2 skill points. 1 here and then 1 over in maces. And then to continue along with the mace skill tree, we get, I can't remember what this passive is called, but that's number 14. We get this passive down here, which helps you with energy recovery when you're attacking enemies who are dazed or stunned, staggered, yada, yada. That's 15. Number 16, we're diving over. That automatically, by level 16, unlocks the 3rd tier of any given skill tree. Well, around 16, we're trying to get a little bit more elusive stacks up. We're building into light armor. We need to have some way of protecting ourselves. Elusive is going to be just that skill. So put 16 there, get elusive, get that extra damage mitigating skill. Since we have 3 points into athletics, we have 3 points into maces. Where you go from here, again, up to you guys on what you're going to prioritize over the other skill. I was just thinking maybe 17, 18, 19. Or you can do from 16, you can go 17 to get knockout, 17, 18, 19. Up to you guys on how you do that. If you see that if you find more value in athletics, you can do this. If you find more value in maces, you can come over to the mace tree and do it this way. Notice here, we didn't get the stance skill, and there's a reason for it. I barely used it. I used offensive and defensive tactics, war cry, and enough for everyone, and like dual wielding skills and mace skills more often than I use the stance skill. There's too many skills, too many actives to use to fit that one in all the time. So just avoid it. Get knockout instead. So having said all that, let's continue on from 15. Again, 15. Got the elusive at 16. Let's just say we're going for athletics for reference here. Athletics 17. At 18, you get sudden lunge, followed by 19, the passive that helps sudden lunge be even stronger. And since this is going to be the 6th skill point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 19 is also going to give you knockout. So at level 19, you get both of these skills, which is great. So now we have access to knockout. Heck, we may as well finish off this skill tree now. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5 and 6 for levels 20 and 21. That's an extra skill point. So level 21, may as well put it somewhere. So we got survival. I'm put a point over here in survival. Where you put the 21st point, up to you. I'm just putting it here. Then 22, I like this skill a lot. This skill here gives us more dodge chance. It reduces all cooldowns by 10%. And at this point, we may as well finish off survival. So 23, 24, 25, 26, that is 6 points, and you'll have an extra point to spend. So on the 26th, you might as well come over here. Now, if you guys see that you need to unlock some of these skills earlier, it's up to you. If you want to come over here and get the passive that helps enough for everyone heal you and recover energy, do that. Sub it in somewhere, you know. If you don't want to unlock maces as quickly, you know, sub out one of these skills, put it here. If you don't want to be over in survival as quickly, sub one of those skills out, put it over here instead. It's up to you. But I would say at the very least, the first 16 or so points, follow the same tree that I'm doing because I think it's more ideal. It makes more sense. To a degree, you might want to come down here and get knockouts sooner, but still, I think 13, always make sure you're able to get tactical advantage. It's going to help out immensely. And 16, get this skill here. So what you guys do in between there is kind of up in the air and how you do it, but just be forewarned. Those are the two skills I would highly recommend getting. And that's about it, honestly. The build held up really well, and the skill allocation that I currently have gives us plenty enough accuracy, gives our fumble reduction down to almost 0 for both weapons. We got a lot of crit, very high crit efficiency, and just high damage all around. And mind you, this build is only what, level 27, I think? Correction, this build is level 26, so there are still what, 4 more skill points left to spend. Not too shabby at all. Now, if you all found this guide helpful, please leave a comment down below. If you're testing this build out, I want to hear you guys' thoughts. If you move some skill points around that you think is a little bit better than what I have, I would love to hear that as well. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share the channel with your friends and family. I'll catch y'all next time. Bye.